Dale Radio.
Hello, everyone. I'm Colleen Vanderzijden, and this is Lily Dale Radio. The name of the show is called Embracing Your Essence. It's all about embracing who you are at your core, at the soul of your being. And like I said, I'm Colleen Vanderzijden. I'm a registered medium at Lily Dale Assembly. And Lily Dale is the oldest and largest spiritualist community in the world. And people do come from all over the world to visit Lily Dale, especially in the summer when the summer season is working and happening. We have the workshops happening, and you can visit mediums, all sorts of things, get healing. It's a great place. If you haven't been there, I highly recommend it. Now, the show is, of course, sponsored by Lily Dale. And you can find out more about Lily Dale at lilydaleassembly.org. You can follow Lily Dale on Facebook, Lily Dale Assembly Incorporated, and look for the official Lily Dale page. There shouldn't be any question about it, but every now and then you just never know. You can follow me at psychicmediumcolleen.com or colleenvanderzijden.com. I have gotten all of the details, I think, out of the way of all the connections that you need to make. So I think I can get on with the show itself. Let me see who's joining us. Hello, everybody. Hi, Mick. Nice to see you today. So I've missed you for the past couple of weeks. I have not been here because of the holidays. I hope you had great holidays. You make sure you share this show, by the way. You can do that. Now, I have something special on my Facebook page, Colleen Vanderzijden, Medium and Intuitive Life Coach. If you're watching me live from my page, you're right there. I have a survey I'm doing. I am trying to figure out what people have as their most urgent need. What is it that people would like help with? Because I am going to be offering a free class in whatever I decide it's going to be based on your input. So this class will be a class that lasts for 5 days in a row. It will be live. You can ask questions, all sorts of stuff. So whatever it is that you're wanting to improve your life with, how you want to live, whatever it is, just answer the survey because that'll give me some input as to what I really want to be focusing on. Let's see. Hi, Candace. Hi, Leah. Happy New Year. Hi, Ray. Happy New Year, everybody. So let's see. We are going to talk about this year, resetting and restarting. And this is a technique I use when I need to kind of get back to myself. Hi, Mom. Nice to see you. And it's at the beginning of the new year. We've already talked about intentions. We did that the last show. So we've already talked about intentions and setting goals and all of that. And by now, some people have set their New Year's resolutions and have failed already. Or maybe some other things are happening in their lives. So this reset and restart idea is a great technique to get back to what you need. Sometimes you can use it for if your life is not going well for whatever reason. Maybe you set a goal or you're stuck with something. You're not feeling that you have enough forward motion going on. You may feel like you need to do something else. And this can work with your life problems, your challenges, your goals, your intentions, everything. Now, of course, as I'm talking about this, feel free to ask questions as we go along. And I know it sounds simple, reset and restart, but there's actually some thought behind this. It's not just, oh, I'm going to reset and restart, all done. No, there's things that we have to think about so that we can be our clear channel so we can get where we need to go. So when we reset, we are consciously pausing. We're deciding to do it. And so then we take the intentional action for the restart. So I want to talk about this resetting part first because it's the pause. How many times do we have a problem or whatever is happening in our lives and we don't take that minute or the 2 minutes to step back and figure out what it is that's bothering us, figure out why we're not moving forward, figure out what we really want to know. What we want to do when we pause is we want to reconnect to our true self. So we want to connect to what's inside our inner being. Really, we're reconnecting to our inner wisdom because within all of us, we have our soul energy, of course, and within that is the wisdom that is there for you all of the time. It's there all of the time. So when we reset, we take that pause, we decide, we make a conscious decision to return to ourselves. And what we're doing is reaffirming the connection to our true selves and that inner wisdom. I know for me, I can be very scattered. I can be working too much and too hard. I just like working, and that can be a problem sometimes. But even I sometimes forget to stop and take a break. And I have all these techniques and strategies I'm teaching you all the time. And sometimes I forget to use them and sit there for just a minute and see what's coming to my awareness and see where I need to go, see what needs to be reset. Now, it's just like when we have a device. You know, your phone is not working correctly. What do? We reset it, and we reset it by turning it off, giving it a break for a minute or two. Then we turn it back on. It's the same exact thing. We can call it the reset button. It's awesome. I'm looking to see what people we have. Oh my goodness. Really? Okay, everybody, before I get too far with that, apparently we have an issue in Iraq, and just take a moment and just like send some healing there and other places as well, because this is a bad time right now, and I don't want to get stuck in that energy right now, but think about that when you're doing your prayers later. Leah, I love this topic. I'm wondering if there should be a time limit for this process. I currently have been resetting for a long time, and I can't see what's next. Oh, how interesting. Well, that is an interesting comment. Well, what we have to do, we're going to follow the emotions. I'm going to talk about that. So when we reset, we've got to follow the emotions, because our emotions are going to let us know which direction to go. Okay, it can be an internal direction and an external direction. So frequently we're focused on the external that we forget about the internal. So this reset is getting back inside, back to the internal. So use the emotions. So if you're feeling unbalanced, or the direction you're heading in doesn't feel right anymore, you're stuck, you failed at something, you're upset, you're lost, confused, anything. And you notice I'm using the more negative, challenging emotions right now. Those things will lead you someplace. And the reason I wanted to use those is frequently we avoid and ignore those emotions. We don't want to feel them, so we ignore them. But we have to pay attention to them. And you know I've said this a million times, that you have to feel your emotions before you can process whatever you need to process that's related to the emotions. So feel the emotion, but give it a minute. Sit down, give it a minute, see where it's leading you. In our humanness, and I said that on my page today to, I think it was Ryan, maybe. In our humanness, we want things to happen in our timing. We forget about the divine timing. We forget about things being perfect just the way they're supposed to be. We want things to happen right now. Now, we're talking about Leah saying she's been resetting for a long time. The question I guess I would have for you is, are you taking action? And I'm pretty sure you are. So you want to make sure you are taking some action based on what you know. As the human, we want to know how we're going to get to the next place. We want to know how it's going to come out. And this is a time in the consciousness where we have to be comfortable with the uncertainty. We have to accept it. We have to live with it. And it's just the way it is. So when we reset, we take that time, go to the wisdom. When we restart, we begin again, but we're beginning with intentional action. Very intentional action, okay? So we're not just reacting out of habit or patterns as we so frequently do. We are making a conscious decision to move forward. We take one step. This is not, we don't want to look to the end result just yet. We want to just take one step towards that end result, leaving our options open, leaving opportunities to come to us. The key is always to be aware of ourselves. And that reset is so important, because without stopping, resetting, and becoming aware of ourselves, we can't really move forward. We really can't. When we take that intentional restart and that intentional action, we're reclaiming our authentic power. We're reclaiming our soul energy. We get a new perspective for moving forward. And even if we don't know the ending, at least we're moving forward intentionally. Now, here's an example for you. As many of you know, I've been writing my book for a really long time, really long time. So I'm really working on it, and I've been working on it very intensely for a few months now. Every day trying to do something with it. But I noticed as I was doing this, I was starting to go down too many rabbit holes. I was working on trying to clarify my point, what it is. And it's always about helping people become themselves, because once we become our best selves, or we're working for that, we're connecting to our best selves, then everything else falls into place. Everything else becomes just the way it's supposed to be, and we're happier. So it's about that. But I also love the strategies and the how-tos, as you know. So I'm mixing them together. And as I was doing this, I noticed I was going down these rabbit holes, and I was losing my focus. I was losing what the point was. I was trying to solve the problem for everybody in the world, rather than just narrowing it down for one small thing and helping the people who really have that need. And I needed to take that reset break. I needed to step back from it and come back to it with a new perspective so I could restart. And it was very important for me to consciously do this. So it's a difference. The reset is a conscious, intentional thing, is different than giving up. And I mean giving up in the not so positive way, where we just go, I give up, I'm not doing it anymore, I give up, I'm not trying. Okay, that's a different thing. What we're doing with that reset is we're affirming that, yes, we want to do something, but we need to take a little break and step back a little bit. I'm going to read what Ryan has to say. I feel stuck. I've been waiting for new friends or a relationship. I've been praying for this for years now, and instead I'm constantly dealing with new illnesses, and illnesses all over the place in my family. I'm surrounded by illness. I can't get away from it. Clear audience and hears things from spirit. Losing my patience. I've been getting, oh, interesting. A week ago, I got a message from spirit saying, I'm not going to help you anymore. I feel it was some kind of guide. So now I feel abandoned by spirit. Ryan, that was not a guide, and that was not spirit. Huh. You know what that was? That was your inner self. That was your inner self actually kind of saying, you know what? We've been trying to give you the direction. We've been trying to give you the direction, and you're not really hearing. Okay, now this is not an opportunity to blame yourself. Okay, and I am not blaming you. There's sometimes, you know, we're talking about how we have the power to live our lives on our terms. We have the responsibility, the free will, and all that. Sometimes people start blaming themselves. Oh, I'm sick because I did this, or it's not working because I'm not doing the right thing, blah, 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 all of that stuff. And this is not that at all. And what I wonder, Ryan, and this actually probably could be a whole different show, but what I wonder, Ryan, is if I'm wondering how connected you are to to your inner being, your soul. I'm wondering if you've moved into the phase, I don't like the word phase, stage of acceptance, where you accept that your life is the way it is. Okay. You have the power to change how you're experiencing life, and also how you're living your life. But I like to talk about how you're experiencing your life. So if you're unhappy, what can you do to help yourself be happier? And this doesn't mean go shopping or something like that. What can you do internally to help you be happier? There are several, and I'm apparently digressing for a moment from my topic, but that is all fine and good. There are several things that are involved with living a spiritual life. One is trusting that life is exactly as it's the way it's supposed to be, trusting you're going to become who you're supposed to become, trusting you are perfect in exactly the way you're supposed to be, trusting that you will be guided, led, that spirit will always be there for you, that your God of your understanding will be there for you. Trusting is huge. Another big tenet of living a spiritual life is accepting that life is the way it is. When we resist a situation in our lives, then we are not trusting. We are not living true to ourselves. We are not in our power. We're not in our essence, our soul. So trusting, allowing, and accepting, they go together. The power of choice is huge. That's taking us back to self-responsibility. Okay, these are the things. Something else to consider in a spiritual life is you are unlimited. You are not limited by anything. You are not limited by illness. You are not limited by anything. This sound in your head where I'm not going to help you anymore, I would never attribute that to spirit, because spirit is always uplifting and inspirational. They may give you some tough love, but the way it would come across would be in that loving way. And So don't feel that way, because I'm feeling very strongly that your spirit has not left you. Your guide has not left you. I'm reading. Also, I hope your eye is feeling better. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I got a little leftover stuff going on, but it's well, what can you do? It's the way it is. I'm accepting it. It can be a distillation, a refinement. What we resist persists. Yes, exactly. So, Ryan, I kind of digressed a little bit for you for a moment there. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a strategy right now for you, but I can't think of one just a second. So I may come back to you if you don't mind. Yes, trusting. That is exactly how I feel. Yes. So yes. Okay. Thank you, Leah, for bringing us back. And Ryan, I might want to talk to you further. I have been resetting. When I feel ready to restart, I stall. Oh, thank you. You lead me right into my next comments. I love it. Like a car that isn't completely broken. All it needs is a new starter. Ooh, I like that. I like that analogy. So here's some interesting thoughts on the problem with are restarting. Now, reset, I've talked about that and how that goes. Resetting, restarting, when we think about it, it's such a natural thing to do, isn't it? So we have a problem, what we should do, we sit down, take a minute, we reset ourselves, we come up with a new attitude, restart, and we get going. But why don't we? Why don't we always do it? It's so obvious that that's what we need to do, but sometimes we don't. And so why is that? Sometimes our emotions get so extreme, we're stuck in the worry. We're stuck in feeling like our lives are never going to change. So we can get so stuck in those emotions that we're disconnected from our power. Okay, we're disconnected from the power, and we've lost the ability to see things from a different perspective. We've lost hope. So we may move into that hopeless, helpless stage. And that can, of course, cause some issues. So we've just lost the hope. My answer, as you know, is always to come back to yourself, to always come back to your power. And I know people are going, but I don't know how. I don't know how to get back there. Don't worry, I will tell you some strategies, because that's what I do. So you want to always pay attention to yourself. Yes, okay, just reading the comments. Sorry, I took a pause for that. I don't know if your restart techniques for today's show would apply to this. I don't know either. We'll find out, Ryan. Sometimes when we have a problem or a challenge or something, we don't want to veer off from our original plan or our original path. Okay, so we've been taught not to give up. To keep going no matter what, to just keep trying, how important persistence is. You remember the story of the little train that could, I think it was, and just keep going, just keep going. And it's kind of been drilled into many of our heads that it's important that we don't give up. And persistence is very important as long as we're aware of what we're doing and that we're making conscious choices with it. Now, let me give you a story for a minute. I'll use my book story. So I've gone through maybe 1 million titles for my book. And I'm not kidding, it might be 1 million. So I've gone through all these different titles because I want to make sure the focus is just right. That's going to help people. So I've gone through these titles, but I noticed a little while ago, I was getting stuck on this certain idea that it had to be this topic, when really, once I took my reset break and stepped back a little bit, I realized I needed to tweak it a little bit. I needed to tweak the angle I was going at and niche it down a little bit further. So sometimes with that persistence, we don't want to give up on something because for whatever reason we've been trained or we think we shouldn't give up. And really what we're doing is we want to, and I'm going to use this word and explain it, we want to surrender, but we're going to surrender to a higher power, okay? It's not giving up. It's surrendering to a higher power. Giving up is, I give up, I'm never doing this again. That's stupid, I can't do it. Surrendering to a higher power is going, you know what? I'm giving up my control. I'm giving up my force, and I'm going to allow the right thing to come to me. I'm going to allow Spirit to guide me. I'm going to allow Spirit to guide me to what I need to know and what I need to do. So that's something to think about if we feel like we're stuck on that one path, that one goal, that one result, and it's not working quite the way we want it to. So in that reset, you might want to see where your thoughts are going and then backtrack a little bit. See, is there something that's stopping you, a belief that you shouldn't quit, that you should keep going? Are you ignoring the signs that you're on the wrong path? You know, that path you're on now, I shouldn't call it the wrong path. So you're on a path and it's not exactly working out the way you want it to, but maybe you do need just a tweak and a veer and go someplace else, and maybe it will work out just right for you. When we feel like we have to try harder, we have to force, we have to control, that's always a sign that we've disconnected from our inner wisdom. And remember, our inner wisdom is always connected to spirit. Okay, so our inner wisdom is directly connected to spirit. And that's when we surrender, get back to ourselves and surrender to something else to be guided. For my book, I was getting very frustrated and confused. And the more I tried to think it through, the more confused I got. So I was trying to force it rather than allowing it to flow. And that's what we need to do when we're resetting and restarting. Okay, my emotions for the book were telling me that I needed really desperately to take a step back, because the more I thought, the more confused I was getting. Now, let's take another example. Say you were in a relationship, or you're in a relationship now where it's just not working out the way you want it to be. Maybe you're feeling unsupported or unloved. Okay, so you keep trying. Well, let's use the case of somebody who's being abused. Let's just go to the heavy duty stuff. Somebody who's being abused, what is it they do all the time? It's, oh, I just have to do this, and then he'll treat me better, or she'll treat me better. I just have to do this. If I was only this way, it would be better. Okay, and so what's happening in that case is the person is suppressing themselves. Okay, they're hiding themselves, hiding who they are. Now, of course, if it's a physically dangerous situation, you know, that's all fine and the way it should be. But if you're feeling that something isn't right in your relationship, your emotions are trying to lead you where you need to go. They want you to reconnect to yourself so you get clarity on the picture. So in an abusive situation, of course, you may love the person, but you have to know what your boundaries are and what's acceptable to you. In another kind of relationship where you're just not feeling quite right, you don't feel loved or supported, excuse me. You've got to face that rather than denying, ignoring it, rather than suppressing or hiding yourself to keep somebody else happy. And that's going to lead you where you go. And you may find that you learn something about yourself and the relationship. You know, I know frequently in relationships, we can sometimes get a little bit lost because, you know, we might try to keep the peace so we don't speak our mind or whatever it is. So what happens is it becomes a habit and a pattern, and we don't pay attention to ourselves, and we're not doing that connection to our inner selves. When you stop for the reset and you get back to yourself, you follow the emotions, see what you can learn, being open and not judging yourself. The difference here is from ignoring or denying or keeping the peace is that you're consciously and intentionally setting them aside. So if you're consciously, intentionally saying, you know what, I'm definitely not going to say something right now, and I'm making the decision to do it, that's a different thing than just not doing it because it's a habit or a pattern. So when you consciously, intentionally do something, you're allowing your inner wisdom to figure it out, and you don't have to force control the situation. I know that was a little bit roundabout. I hope that made sense to you. I was like all over the place. Mick is saying it's so difficult to get out of the analytical mind. It is. Yes, overthinking is a huge problem. Yes, and how do you know when to stop trying and surrender? That's a tricky question, Susan. I'd probably have to know a little bit more to make sure I'm not, you know, sending you down the wrong path. You've got to go with your gut. Okay, for my book, I'm going to just talk about that because I've been working on it so much. For my book, the thought of me not writing it is so upsetting to me. It makes me so, just the thought, like if I said, I'm just not doing it, it's too hard, I can't do it, blah, blah, all that stuff. It's so wrong to me. So I know I have to keep going, and just struggle through, and it'll happen the way it's supposed to, because I'm just going to trust, because you know what, I got to get out of my way, right? I had a friend once who had a business and was not the best businessman in the world. He didn't necessarily do things thoroughly. He didn't think things through as thoroughly as he might. He would throw more and more money at it. He had been trained not to give up. He didn't want to look like a failure. He didn't want to look like he was unsuccessful. So for him, what ended up happening, he was throwing more and more and more money into it. It was so ingrained in him not to quit, that he had to succeed no matter what, that he was not connected to his inner self anymore. He wasn't connected at all. He didn't realize, he couldn't see the picture clearly. He couldn't see what was happening. And the further he got in, the more emotionally distraught he became. He was so upset with so many things. He'd fly off the handle at the smallest thing, and he was very unhappy. And if he had taken some time to just step back, he may have realized that it was time to change course. That would have been valuable for him, but he couldn't do it because it was shameful. And when you have something big, like a big goal, a big dream, and let's talk about the people who are on like America's Got Talent, or the predecessors for those shows. Okay, so sometimes in the beginning of the show, when it's first starting, and you watch some of the people who are singing, some of them don't have the best talent, shall we say, but it's their dream to sing. And so that's a tricky one, because they don't have the natural ability, but they may never become famous, but they could still participate in singing. So it depends on what their end goal and their end result is. Do they want to be famous for singing, or do they just enjoy singing so much that they want to do it? And then they can find opportunities to sing without being the best singer in the whole world. Now, I have digressed all over the place again, but those are some examples of how sometimes we don't want to stop, or we don't know when it's time to stop. The only answer you'll get will be the one that your inner self tells you. If you get upset at the thought of stopping, then follow it. Why is that? Is it your purpose? Is it your goal? Is it whatever it is? And make sure we go to the inner part too, not just focused on the external. We've got to focus on the internal. That's the reset part. Focus on the internal. I'm going to read comments for a minute. Let me see what time it is. Where's my clock? Oh, here it is. Okay, Leah, I think my inner wisdom is telling me I'm doing exactly the right thing. Good, good. Not going to come to you. Yes, good point, Leah, because I should say that. When I'm talking about surrendering and allowing spirit to step in, that doesn't mean you don't take action, okay? That's the restart part. You have to take action. You have to take steps. One small step. That's all you have to do. One small step. Then the next one after that. And if you have to make an adjustment, then you can make an adjustment, because you've only taken one small step. You're not thinking to the very end and getting stuck there. Just one small step, the natural evolution. You have to take action. Excuse me again. I said to one of my clients once, and she wanted to have a relationship with somebody, but she never left the house. And I said, is the only person you're going to meet is the UPS man or the mailman? You're not going to meet anybody. You've got to take some action. You've got to either get out of your house, you've got to go online, you've got to go do something. So you do have to take action. So Leah, you're not crazy. You just take the one action at a time, and it'll be perfect. Yeah, and sometimes when things don't go the way we want, that's when we start resisting the way things are. And if we would just accept them, let them be, it's all good. Surrender, as in letting spirit help more. Yes, Ray, surrender, let spirit help more. Listen to spirit, take that reset moment, that second just to touch in with yourself again, let spirit come in and help you. Follow your intuition, that kind of thing. Okay, surrender is, really in a way, surrender is an action step because you consciously decide to stop forcing and controlling, and you consciously decide to allow your inner wisdom and spirit to guide you. Really, surrender is an action step. Who would have thought? Susan, the thought of what if, or maybe I could have or should have, sometimes puts the fear of surrendering. Oh, I know. Yeah, those negative what ifs are something, and I should do this or should do that. And those are, they can be something else. Whenever I fall into the should trap, I should be doing this. What I like to do when I take my reset is to just go, you know what, everything is perfectly in order the way it's supposed to be. And my path is not the same as everybody else's path. There are no shoulds. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. Sometimes it helps to have a new perspective that way. Yeah, it's getting out of our heads sometimes. That's really tricky, isn't it? Getting out of our heads and getting out of our way in there. And that's really what I teach. Devin Lee, hi from Mississippi. Hi, Devin. Nice to see you. Spirit is always there. Just listen. It's hard to accept at times like this. It is. You are welcome, Leah. Barb, it is very hard to accept at times like this. What I was saying to somebody the other day is that some of the things that are happening in our world now, the unpleasant things, it's kind of disrupting our consciousness. It's helping us all dig deep to our souls to recognize the power we have individually to change and contribute positively to the consciousness that is surrounding us. That was really wise. I don't think I really said that. That must have come in from someplace. What's happening now, it's a huge disruption to ourselves, to the consciousness. Even yesterday, I woke up and I was just feeling really off. The whole day was a struggle for me. Part of it is picking up the energy of things around me. And so when something like that happens to me, I do take that moment to sit back and go, you know what, I just have to work on accepting that things are the way they are. Those external events, this external situations do affect us. They really do. And we have to acknowledge that. We have to deal with the emotions. We have to feel those emotions, but don't get stuck there. Make that conscious, intentional decision to restart in how you're looking at yourself and your part in life. We cannot change, one person cannot change the whole world by our intention, and I'm talking in a positive way. You know what I'm saying, and I'm not going to say it, but there we are. But our contributions make a difference. Our intentions, our choices, it does make a difference. So doing your part and not getting too wrapped up in some of those external things. And it is not I'm not telling you to not care. Okay, I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not telling you to not care. Yes, these things are important. Yes, some of these things that are going on are horrible. Send love. Take a conscious action step of sending love to everyone, everywhere. Okay, so that's we know prayer is very important, and sending positive love to people. So consciously do that. What happens when you take every step you can think of and none of it works? Can you still surrender to spirit and let them lead you to your steps that you take? Yes, you can, Ryan. Yeah, interesting. You take every step you can think of and none of it works. Interesting. My feeling would be that there's more for you to learn. There's more for you to learn about yourself. You may need to really explore the idea of trusting spirit implicitly, that no matter what is going on, that you will trust. Because for someone to trust through difficulties, big difficulties and huge challenges, that takes a lot of, I don't know what, gumption, trust, a lot of desire to do that. So that's something to contemplate, I think. Your inner self really knows what you need. Your inner self knows which direction you need to go into. And the more you know yourself, the easier it becomes to get the lessons from your emotions and access that inner wisdom. It is important, I'm just digressing all over. It is important when you're feeling those emotions, feel them, see what you can learn. I do an exercise with some of my coaching clients called the truth of your emotions. And I basically will ask them, so what is your emotion telling you? And so you kind of you have to step back a little bit to kind of look at it from the outside a little. Say, what is your emotion telling you? Is your emotion telling you that life is never going to get better? And you have this huge fear that life is never going to get better and that this is the way the rest of your life is going to go. If that's what your emotion is telling you, explore that idea. Maybe your emotion is telling you that whatever's happening is affirming that you're not good enough, that you do not have the skills, the abilities, anything to create the life you want to have. Or maybe your emotion is telling you that you don't deserve to be happy. You just don't deserve it. So whatever the emotions are telling you, you explore that idea. Again, not an opportunity to beat yourself up, judge yourself, anything like that. You're curious. You want to know. You want to know why you're feeling this. You want to know what you can do to move forward. Reading new comments. Gabriella, I know that by changing myself, I am helping the world, but what steps can I take to better myself? I'm always trying, but I feel my depression and stress and anxiety constantly make me backstep. I do meditate, I do DNA healing, yet I still have issues. My thought on this right at this moment, and it may change in 10 seconds, is I would want to focus with you, if you were one of my coaching clients, I would want to focus on self-love in action. Self-love in action, what that means to you. What does self-love look like? You're doing meditation, you're doing healing, and and depression, stress, and anxiety, those can weigh on us, okay? And it's important to just realize it's there, okay? And kind of accept it. Just say, sometimes this affects me. You can name them. Sometimes that's always fun, anxious Annie or something is all back in my head again. And having an action step that goes with self-love. So it could be as simple as doing an affirmation of, I love myself no matter what. Have you tried any tapping, Gabriella? I like tapping. Tapping is fun, but that might be something you would consider. It does involve the healing and also the verbal affirmations. So I would do something along that with healing and affirmations. Another thing I have my coaching clients do, and I have everybody do this, is write 50 things they love about themselves. And I've talked about this in the past, but write 50 things they love about themselves. And so what I recommend people do on the computer, piece of paper, whatever, you just sit for a minute and then you just start writing. It could be as simple as you love your hair, and then you just go to whatever comes to mind. The reason I have it at 50, though I had it at 100 at one point, but at 50 is because once you get past about 20 or so, sometimes you really have to dig deep to find out those positive qualities that you have. You have that discipline, the persistence, you have a caring heart, you're sensitive, you love to be near people, you love to help people, whatever it is. So you have to dig a little deep. If you can't do 50, you just do what you can. I have a friend who actually got stuck at doing that and only made it to 4. And I said to her, well, that's interesting, because I could tell you about 10 things right now off the top of my head about her, because she's just an amazing person. So if you get stuck doing something like that, ask people that you like and who like you to just ask them, what are 3 qualities about myself that you think I have? What do you think I'm good at? Whatever it is, and see what they have to say. And that can help you kind of build up your idea too. So self-love is very important. I would start with that. Because the more love you have towards yourself, the more you're going to give to others as well. Yeah. Give a smile, give a compliment, buy coffee. Yes, definitely. Small acts. Yeah, the connection to other people is so very important. You know, go out there and do something for somebody. It doesn't have to be big. And just that smile, like she's mentioning, Susan's mentioning. I haven't tried tapping. I've tried affirmations. I will try tapping. Thank you. Yes. I also have a course that I created last year called Happy and Unstoppable. And it takes people on a journey of self-discovery where they learn about themselves and they build up their power and they connect to that power so they're stronger. So that when challenges come, you know, like people who are criticizing you or unexpected difficulties come into your life, you have the strength within to be able to handle them. And then I also give people strategies to handle those problems, because everything that comes into your life is to help you become the best version of you. So every time something happens, I have a strategy where you can look at the problem a little bit differently and then come back to yourself again. That might be something to try as well. It's called Happy and Unstoppable. You can find it on my Facebook page and on my website, and just see if it makes sense to you. Leah, I am too curious. Back to thought, I'm too curious, if that's the thing. I'm curious about everything, and I love to learn, and so many things get me inspired, but that sets in the distractions. Yes, I'm like a cinema door that keeps spinning. Yes, I understand. This week alone for me, I kept starting all these new things because I had all these great ideas and I wanted to get to them. Set your intention for your 2 most important things. What are your 2 most important things you want to achieve this year? We'll just go for the year. 2 most important things you want to achieve for this year. Related to your internal, can be related to the external as well. Okay, the 2 things. What do you really want to get done? And only do those things that are related to that. Obviously, you have to do like chores and house things, but only do the things that are in alignment with your ultimate goal. And it's making a decision to do that. Okay, so here I am talking too much again. So reset, restart. Life is like a game, and sometimes we feel like we don't have control over it, but we don't have to stay stuck in that problem. We don't have to stay stuck in the challenge. We don't have to feeling like a failure or feeling like life is hopeless. We always, always, always have the opportunity to reset and restart. In the reset, remember, just a little brief summary here. The reset, pause, follow your emotions, see what your emotions are teaching you. What is the truth of your emotions? Let go of the controlling and forcing and overthinking. The reset is a quiet time. Get back to yourself. Then you get back to that inner wisdom, and then you can move forward with conscious, intentional choices to restart. Oh my goodness, without the negativity. So you consciously move forward without negativity. Okay, I'll see what other comment we have. Balance everyday life and doing my resetting. I mean, starting with my everyday life duties is something I'm trying to master. Awesome, Leah. Yes, I tell you, there are so many things out there in life that can distract us, and also that can make us feel like we don't have any control. And in some ways we don't have any control. But in many ways, we have all the control, because we get to choose. We have the free will. We are unlimited beings. We can choose how we respond. We can choose what we believe. We can choose everything in our lives, how we're experiencing our lives. So remember that, if nothing else, if nothing else. So, okay, I have talked enough today for you people. I'm going all over the place. Yes, have fun with the process. Yes, have fun. You know, I love the how-tos. So this is just another idea of how you can move out of being stuck, moving out of feeling like life is out of your control, whatever. It's just changing your perspective. It's all about changing your perspective, everything I do. So that's what we're doing today. So I want to thank you all for watching. You can follow me on my Facebook page, Colleen Vanderzijden, medium and intuitive life coach, and I would love for you to do that. I'd also love for you to look at my survey that is on the page if you have not yet, and let me know what your greatest urgent need is, because I'm planning on teaching a free class to help you with that urgent need. So if I can coalesce the whole thing together and come up with something that's going to be awesome, I'm going to do this free class. I mean, a free class. You can't go wrong with that, right? And you can also go to my website, ColleenVanderzijden.com, or quick link, psychicmediumcolleen.com. And don't forget to connect with Lily Dale at lilydaleassembly.org or Lily Dale Assembly Incorporated on Facebook. And you can follow me all there and everybody there. Meditating. Bryce, that is so interesting. Thank you for bringing that up, because next week's topic is a question and answer on meditating. That's what we're going to talk about next week. So that'll be fun. Okay, I will let you go and I will stop talking. I'll see you guys next week. You have a great week and I will see you very soon. Bye.